Welcome to our last tutorial of the creating database table with plugins, step 3. And in this last step, we're going to go ahead and create an upgrade function to alter the existing table structure, okay, for a new version of the functionality. So let's do that. So for that, what we're going to do is we had our two functions, which is gel install and gel install data. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the version number over here, okay, into our gel db version, and we are going to go just below the add option of our gel install function. We're going to add this code, and that's why we had commented it earlier. So what we're doing here, we're saying that we're creating a variable called installed version, and this is going to give us the existing version number from a database. So get option function is a predefined function of WordPress that gives us a value of a column name from an options table. Add option inserts the value and the field into the WP options, and get option gets the value, retrieves the value. So it's going to give us the value of gel db version. As you can see, the current value of gel db version is 1.0.0, which we had defined earlier. So installed version will be equal to this. Now we're saying that if the installed version is not equal to the current version that we have defined, so this is a new version, obviously in this case it is not, so this version that we're defining now is not equal to what is there in the database, okay, so which is why this set of code will be executed, okay, if this function is called. And obviously if this function is called, this is not going to take place because the table is already there. So when the code reaches here, it's going to check this condition, and because the new version that we have defined is different than what's there in the table already, the next set of code with this is going to be executed. So here again we are saying table name is equal to wp underscore lives outbox. Now we're writing a new statement. In this new statement, everything else is the same. All we are doing is just adding age column name over here. So under our lives outbox, we had till URL. We're going to add one more column over here, which is age. Okay, and obviously this is not text. This is integer. Yeah, great. Perfect. Right, just one moment. In fact, instead of writing age, let's keep it to city. Some people wouldn't want to give their age, so let's keep it a city. Okay, so city text. All right, just going to add another column over here as city. Okay, great. And then everything else remains the same. We just require this file to call this function to create the table, and go ahead and update the option so that the new version is going to be 1.0.1. So what that function is going to do is going to update this value to 1.0.1. So this function. And into our inserting database, we can also go ahead and insert URL here, and we're going to define that. So I'm just going to write it, pause the video and write the additional fields to save time. Okay. Alright, so I'm done writing. All I have done is added these two more variables with the values as URL and the city, Mumbai, and I've added these two more fields, which is URL and city, to go ahead and insert the value under URL and city columns of our database table. Okay, and this obviously remains the same. We're not touching that. What we're doing is we are going to define an additional function for upgrade of our version, and this is my update db check. We're taking the global value of gel db version, which is now 1.0.1, the new value, And we're checking if get site option gel db version is not equal to this, which means if this value 1.0.0 is not equal to our new value, which is 1.011, then the following set of code will be executed. So in this case, yes, it will be executed, because when this function gets the value of our GLDB version from our WP options table, which is 1.0.1, it is definitely different than the one we have now defined over here. So the next set of code, which is this, will be executed. So what this is going to do is going to call the function again, call this function, and call the second function as well. So when this call this function, it'll come over here, it'll try to execute this, but it wouldn't, because the table name already exists, which is WP underscore lives out box. It'll go down, come over here, check the condition. The installed version 1.0.0 is not equal to 1.0.1, which is our new one. Hence, the next set of code will be executed. It'll try to create the table, which means update the table. Why update the table, guys? Is because this function automatically goes ahead and checks the environment and compare it. If we wouldn't be using this function, then probably we would have just used update table or something, but in this case, this function automatically takes care of everything, so it goes and compared this table with our existing table of lives lighthouse. So basically, db delta function is going to say, hey, let me compare. So it's going to compare this existing table lives out box over here and say, okay, I've got ID, I've got time, I've got name, I've got text. I don't have I'll have URL, I don't have city. So let me go ahead and add the city over here. So I've just refreshed the page, which is why it's showing city over here, otherwise it would have been there. Okay. So it's going to say, okay, I've got everything, there's no change up until here, but I found there is something additional here, so let me go ahead and add that. So that's the job of db delta function. It goes ahead and compares the existing table, existing environment, with the new one that you're defining, the statement that you're passing, and whatever the modification needs to be done, it will do that. If the table doesn't exist, it'll create one. If it already exists, it's going to compare, the column by column, and whatever needs to be added or removed, it'll go ahead and do that. Okay, that's the beauty of this function, which is under upgrade.php. Okay, cool. And again, this function is going to go ahead and update the value. I'm sure it must have already done that by now. Yeah, it's already done that. Okay, 1.0.1, it's already updated that. And then the next function, which is called over here into our upgrade plugin function, is going to go ahead and insert the new values. It's going to go ahead and insert these values plus the URL and the city. So if you check, this was done by our previous set of codes, and now because we are using an upgrade function, is going to go ahead and add another value with this, but this time is going to add the URL and the city as well, which is what we've done here. Okay, and this function is actually going to be called by our hook plugin loaded. So whenever the plugin is loaded, this function is going to be called, which is going to check the condition. If the version number is different than what's there in the what version number, what we have defined into our new plugin file is different than what's there in the database, is going to call these two functions, which are going to now modify the table, alter the table, and insert new values as well. Okay, so I hope it was pretty clear. All the three videos were clear, and I'm sure you will be able to understand everything clearly. Okay, if you still have any questions, you can ask by writing in the comments, and I hope you like the video. If you do, please share the video and do subscribe to my channel for more. Thank you very much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.